We have another call that I want to take now from Alex in Manhattan. How are you, Alex?
Good afternoon, sir. I'm calling because I'm interested. I'm considering investing in real estate, and I've heard things about Detroit. Most of them bad, and I'm curious because I figure I'm not a big time investor. Maybe invest and wait till the market rises again. Could you give me some advice on that?
Yeah, sure. Well, first thing, Detroit's an interesting question. You do hear, I mean, Detroit is the city that everybody likes to beat up on. And I'm not going to join in with that, but I will tell you that it worries me a little bit. When we analyze markets, we counsel some pretty big investors. We counsel individual investors like yourself, but also some of these big funds that are raising, $100 million and want to buy single-family homes all across the country. And they've engaged us because we have a methodology of evaluating a market that's based upon kind of the way that like Home Depot or Lowe's picks a place to build a gigantic superstore, okay? They don't go build a 400,000 square foot store on a whim. They pick a market to go to based upon a real firm knowledge that people are going to be living there, they're going to have jobs there, they're going to be owning real estate or either to live in or to rent out, and they're going to be wanting to improve those homes, and they need to know that's going to be intact for like 50 years. Otherwise, they're not going to put a stake in the ground to build a store. Same way that a real estate investor should look at it. So when you look at Detroit, the first question is, are people moving there? If they are, why are they? Are jobs moving there? And unfortunately, the answer on the job front is it's a little bit bleak. They've overemphasized the auto industry, and the auto industry is escaping there a little bit. They're building cars in other places. The job... Put it this way, if the unions keep having the kind of dysfunctional relationship that they've got right now with the public and with state governments where they're getting kind of blamed for making states go bankrupt, eventually either the state of Michigan is going to go bankrupt or the state of Michigan is going to renegotiate with unions. And I'm worried about the job situation. Like you can trade your Escalade in for like 4 houses in Detroit right now. Okay, they're selling houses. Okay. I'm hearing reports of $10,000, $20,000. They're very, very inexpensive, but it just concerns me because, as cheap as it is, it could come back. But you got to show me some evidence that the jobs are going to be sustained and are going to grow in Detroit if you're going to get my money to invest there.
Well, my reference point is as I'm sitting here in Washington Heights, and I've lived here for 20 years, and what the neighborhood was 10 years ago, what Harlem was 10 years ago, what parts of the Bronx, parts of Brooklyn were. There were no man's land. There was very frightening places to live. And now to see all of the yuppies, the businesses that follow, and I'm 52, so I have seen that progression to where past, let's say, 110th Street was no man's land. So now it's become the new renaissance.
You see ladies with strollers on the street, and that wouldn't have happened 15 years ago. Yeah. So what are you seeing in Detroit that recommends it to you? Like, why are you attracted to Detroit? Do you see evidence of that kind of a turnaround happening?
I figure maybe with immigration patterns, and eventually everybody's afraid to go in the water when somebody gets bit by a shark, using that in reference to the economy. Eventually, somebody in that crowd gets, irresistible urge to go in the water. And then that triggers everybody else going in the water. The thing is to be ahead of that curve. I'm not someone with a lot of money, but and I think it's easy. Of course, the risk is proportionate to the rewards. But you wonder, and he said, the people who were afraid to travel 2 or 3 hours to go to South Jersey, we decided, listen, here's Harlem. In 15 minutes, 20 minutes, I can get on the subway, be at the theaters, be at all of that stuff that a lot of people like. I'm not one of those people, but eventually those people, their urges
I hear you. So, but the idea that here's the one very important fact, and that is that because some parts of New York City turned around doesn't mean that other cities are going to turn around. Don't forget that within a stone's throw of Harlem is the rest of Manhattan. You know, the metro area, 25 million people or something. It's a major hub of commerce and jobs where if we were a city that basically existed because of one industry, okay, Detroit was built around the American auto manufacturing industry and all the derivative spin-off satellite businesses that were swirling around there. Right now, 2 of the 3 American automakers have essentially been taken over by the government. And would they have gone bankrupt had they not been taken over by the government? A lot of people say they would have. It's a scary prospect. So make sure that you dig in a little bit closer to look for evidence, because Detroit's not going away. I'm not saying that. But if there are pockets of Detroit that are they literally have talked about the idea of bulldozing neighborhoods in Detroit just to eliminate some supply. So they're looking at some pretty stark potential outcomes over there. But make sure you dig in and you find some evidence that kind of turnaround, because they don't happen everywhere. They can happen. They've happened in a lot of places. Like I look at right across the lake from Detroit is Cleveland. And Cleveland I recommend. And even though Cleveland, the housing market in Cleveland got beat up pretty bad by the decline of the auto industry, because a lot of the Cleveland manufacturing job base was manufacturing things for the car makers, but they weren't making cars. They were making components, door handles, parts. And the medical device industry, the medical instrument industry, has chosen Cleveland as a place to kind of move into, because the factories are there that made door handles. Making a door handle is not that different than making a scalpel, okay? It's kind of a silly analogy, but when you have a factory designed to make cars, it's hard to make anything else in that factory. When you have a factory designed to make door handles, it's easier to repurpose that. And they were able to repurpose factories. They were able to repurpose employees. And so there's an example of a city that is also in some distress home price-wise, but it's turned the corner in terms of a new industry moving in. That's Cleveland. So one of the beautiful things about investing in real estate is that you can do homework. You can learn things that nobody else really knows. And you're correct that a lot of people are running away from Detroit because of all the obvious reasons. I personally give it sort of a mixed grade for the reasons that I've explained, but I would encourage you to do the things that I've been talking about. Put your Home Depot hat on and say, would I open a store in this neighborhood? Are there reasons to be confident in long-term growth of population? If there is, then there are some good buys there. All right?
Very well said. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Alex. I appreciate the call. All right, we're going to go to break. You're listening to Rand on Real Estate on 77 WABC. Call us. You'll get on the air in the next segment or two. Number here is 800-848-9222. When I get back, we're going to talk about the government's latest brainstorm on how to solve the housing crisis. Stay with us.